When we say charismatic man, we tend to imagine icons like Bruce Wayne or James Bond, these cool, handsome, suave guys who has everything in life and can charm any girl. Then there's others like Peter Quill, also known as Star-Lord from Guardians of the Galaxy, who's a rather clumsy, not so successful dude who still manages to lead a team of aliens and save the galaxy.
I got my dick message!
He might not be charismatic in the traditional manner, but he's still charismatic in a sense that he has a very magnetic personality and can draw people towards him. In fact, this is a type of charisma, and it is even more relatable and realistic to today's real-life setting. Peter Quill's magnetic personality stems from him being completely comfortable in his own skin and being unapologetically himself in almost every situation. And we see this from the moment we first encounter him. Then we see more scenes where he doesn't really give a shit about the people he doesn't like and does whatever he wants. People like him in real life are called larger-than-life characters. When we are in public or around people that we don't know very well, we tend to tone down our true personalities to appear as a much more well-behaved, saintly version of ourselves. Peter Quill does not do this at all. Peter's charisma stems from his innate characteristics to be completely himself in almost any situation. He does what he wants, say what he wants to anyone, and he doesn't hesitate to call anyone out. This sort of behavior demands what we call social courage. It is the tendency to dare to do things that people are naturally afraid to do in front of other people, like public speaking or dancing to yourself anywhere outside your shower. Human beings are naturally attracted to people with social courage, and Peter Quill is an excellent example of someone with social courage because he does whatever he feels like it without any hesitation. This is the base of his magnetic personality. However, this does not mean that he goes around insulting people. Peter Quill might be himself all the time, but he knows his boundaries, and that's knowing to what extent you are willing to tolerate people's nonsense and knowing when what you're saying is impacting other people in a negative manner. Fundamentally, all of us have an intrinsic desire to feel valued, and knowing when you need to make others feel important and good about themselves is an important skill that will make you even more magnetic and charming around people. People get attracted to those with social courage, but people stay around these people because they feel cherished and valued by these people. And there are instances when Peter actually plays the role of getting others to feel important or good about themselves. Yes, sometimes he says things that piss people off, but he knows when he needs to watch his boundaries.
Vermin, tough guy! You just want to laugh at me like everyone else! Rocket, you're drunk, alright? No one's laughing at you. He thinks I'm some stupid thing, he does! Well, I didn't ask to get made! I didn't ask to be torn apart and put back together over and over and turned into some little monster. Rocket, no one's calling you a monster.
This is drastically different from those people who tries to get others to feel important just for the sake of validation or getting approval. That's why it is important to set your priorities before setting your own boundaries. If you realize the most charismatic people in movies and real life aren't people who are trying hard to get people to like them. They are just people who goes about fulfilling their own priorities and goals, and somehow people just gather around them. That's basically who Star-Lord is. His mission, once he figured out what the orb was, to make sure that it doesn't fall into Ronan's hands. And because he chases this goal so honestly, he accumulates people who are willing to help him, even if it meant dying or getting seriously injured. Yes, they have their own reasons to help him, but they gather to his calling to support him at the end of the day. People have a misunderstanding when it comes to charisma. Usually they think it's being highly controlled or highly being competent that gets people to respect you or to be drawn towards you. That's not the only way of being charismatic. People get attracted to those who are willing and daring to be themselves to chase their own goals and at the same time care about the feelings and emotions of the people around them. You don't have to act in a certain way to be charismatic. You can just be childish, clumsy and funny, and as long as you stay true to yourself, you can be charismatic in your own unique way. At the heart of charisma is knowing who you truly are. Not acting to be like these cool characters that you see in movies and films, but in knowing who you are and staying true to yourself to be a positive difference to the people that you meet. And whether that involves dancing in front of your enemies or just singing to yourself in the shower, establishing your own identity, priorities, and not being afraid to show them to the world will help you become much more in becoming the most charismatic and magnetic version of yourself that you were always meant to be. Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this video. This channel is all about providing you with the best resources and materials to help you succeed in the social arena. And that means we do videos on tips on how you can become a better conversationalist or character analysis like these that break down what makes a character so charismatic or magnetic. At the end of the day, our goal is to provide you with as many resources as possible to turn you into the most charismatic and socially competent individual that you were always meant to be. So if you like videos like this or just want to see more of this on a regular basis, or just want to support us on this journey or just want to join us, just click the subscribe button. This is Calvin for The Modern Asian Man. Thank you for watching.